So yeah, like we were saying, I think it is good for people in active addiction to know that our stories do become our biggest strength. All of those struggles weren't for no reason. Once you try to, you turn them into purpose. And for me, at almost 11 years sober, I probably like 4 years ago, I really was kind of sitting with my feelings and all of the stuff that happened to me in my life, or not even happened to me, the stuff that I did on my own in
Hmm.
my life. Turned my pain to purpose, and everything else started to shift around that. So I'm glad you
Yep.
said that.
Yeah, we all have a story, and the funny thing is that you got to admire everybody out there. I mean, from the outside looking in, people just don't understand. And so, one of the things that I find kind of it's not comical, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
They'll be like, "Well, you need to slow down," or "Why don't you just stop?" or "Have positive thinking." They don't understand that at the time of the height of your addiction, no matter what
Mhm.
you're involved in, your mind's not. You're not you. You know
No, not
and
at
you
all.
do and say anything. You're the master conniver. You know the game, and man, it is such a horrible disease that's affecting so many people worldwide, let alone this country. And there's
Definitely.
people like you, and a lot of people that are coming out and voicing, hey, it's okay to recover. It's okay to feel like this, and let me tell you, there's hope, and
Yes,
that's what it's all about, right?
most definitely. Well, we already got a good conversation brewing. My guy Dino, thank you for hitting me up and wanting to come onto the podcast. Uh and being flexible with me. I know that the solar eclipse day today, and at first, in my brain, I'm like, I've seen one before, and then I got kids, and like, Dad, we want to see the eclipse. I'm like, all right, well, let
Yeah,
me try to maneuver. So I ran up the street real quick to the store. Of course, they were sold out.
of course.
Um, somebody else messaged me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I got some." So I was ready to drive across town, and then in the clutch, women. My wife pulled up and was, "Hey, I got some." I was like, "All right, great, man. Let me go
There
hit
you
Dino
go.
back and see if we could keep this time, man." So I'm happy to have you. I'm gonna
Hey,
drop.
thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna drop this intro music, and then we can get started.
All right, let's go.
The Redeem Yourself podcast. Redeem Yourself podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jarrod.
Hey, what's going on?
Also go by Strength in Time.
This is Gina. This is Justin. And this is
Y'all know the vibes. Recovery talk at its finest. All right, sir. Thank you for letting me get my vibes off real quick. And now we'll get to our check-ins. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Beginning of the week, highly motivated, inspired. And, just even based off the energy that when we were just kind of hanging out talking before I hit record, man, I am looking forward to any and everything that you have to say, good sir.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I love what you're doing. Thanks for doing what you're doing. It's people like you that kind of give hope to everybody. And that's the name of the game is hope.
Likewise. Likewise, sir. So without any more going back and forth, Dino, I'm gonna make this time period about you, your journey, your recovery, everything you're involved in. So as we get started, how was life for you growing up?
Life for me growing up, I can't blame my childhood. I had a good childhood. I had very understanding parents, even though they were strict, and they supported me and encouraged me, and having my entrepreneurial spirit, which I had from 6 years old. Um, and I was just completely driven. I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I wanted to be successful.
Mm,
And not much in the way of addiction or anything like that, but fast forward to 1996, I caught lightning in a bottle and invented a product called Bug Ban. That's the
mm.
insect repelling bracelet that is still on the market today that repels mosquitoes. I was the one who invented that in
What?
Chicago. Yeah. So 1996, I'm broke as a joke, and then all of
Mm.
a sudden, boom, like complete fame and fortune. Just People magazine. I was on Oprah. I was in Forbes. I got people running down the street. I'm pumping gas at a gas station. People are running. I saw you on the show. They want to shake my hand. Hey, no offense. I mean, I love, sort of love the attention, but at the time it was kind of scary. I'm like, dude, I don't know you. You know what I mean? Back
Right,
up.
right.
But with every interview came more interviews and more interviews, and I was young, inexperienced, naive, all of the
Mhm.
above, and I really didn't know how to handle it. So I reached to my old trusty bottle of vodka and whatever pills were available at any given time to give me
Mhm.
that instant bravery. And
Right.
like everybody who uses in the beginning, you're just like, oh wow, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I could do
I'm
anything.
Superman. I was nailing all these points. Did you see me on TV? Oh my God, I was great. So obviously, if you're great, you got to keep doing it. You got to keep getting more. So, my addiction started from 1996 and did not end until I decided, not happy about it, but
Mhm.
decided to go in through the doors of rehab, and that was in 2020, clean and
Okay.
sober, July 7th, 2020. So you're talking about a quarter century, man,
That
that I was carrying around an addiction.
Yeah. So in 1996, you invent a product.
Hmm.
But before the product comes, I know you made the statement, broke is a joke. And I find it fascinating. So you must have been working at least towards some goal, and it just ended up working out for you in that exact moment. So what was life like prior to?
Well, I mean, look, the life of a true serial entrepreneur is a roller
Mhm.
coaster ride. Everybody who is one knows exactly what I'm talking about. The highs are really high, the
Mhm.
lows are really low. Kind of sounds like everybody's addiction, right? you
Right,
know.
right,
But
definitely.
so thrill seeker for sure. But I had my first business when I was 16 years old. Second business when I was 19.
Mhm.
I'd have mild success, and then I'd do something that was wrong, or the climate was wrong, or I took a wrong turn. Any of the above, and you just wind up. But you hit hard. There's no soft landing when you're an entrepreneur. There's no net to catch you. You just fall.
Right.
But one of the greatest things that I had was I had no fear. So I just kept getting up, brush my shoulders off, and just keep going. Right. And so it's the trial and error over the years leading up to 1996, where, yeah, you could say it was like, oh, it was just a chance. Well, yes and no. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had all the past experiences of trials and errors in my head, and I was doing, well, maybe I should try this, or maybe I should, and finally, like everything, came together, all the worlds aligned, the
Mhm.
stars aligned, and I hit a home run, like a home run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I I'm not going to say it was horrible because it wasn't. Very few people get to do what I did, but at the same time, there's an ugly side to fame and fortune. There's an ugly
Mhm.
side to success, and somebody like me isn't ashamed to peel back the curtain and let people see what that is. Like, you'll see some A-listers now, they're getting vocal, they're going on podcasts like yours, they're on social platforms, and they'll talk about their addiction, alcohol and drugs and so forth. And I admire that.
Mhm.
From an outsider looking in, they'll say things like, "Oh my God, they had everything. How can they just destroy their lives? How can they be in jail?" Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm not condoning some of the things you read about, certainly, but I will say that I have a healthier understanding of why they get sometimes to that point. I mean, they're surrounded by yes men. They're
Right.
surrounded, by people that don't tell them anything. It's just a money machine that they
Mhm.
see, and they want to use it.
Right.
Similarly with me, right? I mean, the people close to me knew that I was really getting to have a drinking problem and a drug problem, but at the same time, for me, it was like, well, I don't have a problem, because why would these people want to meet me? Why do people want to have meetings with me? Why do people want to have business with me? And so for me, it was very conflicting. So
Mhm.
I was the last guy to realize, and it happen this way? The last guy to realize that, hey, man, I can't do this on my own. I pretty much destroyed my entire world.
Mhm.
The house is burning, it's up in flames, and I think I have no problem.
Mhm.
The aha moment was, sitting in this big bloated house. I got fancy cars, any car you could think of, I've owned.
Mhm.
And I always thought it was a material thing, right? But my wife left me. I
Mm,
don't have any friends. My family's not around. And I remember crying and just like alone in a hallway. And I'm just like, I have all of this and I have nothing.
mm.
And that was my moment to seek professional help and do something. So, okay. So I'm in reserve parking.
This makes for good content, man.
This is
If you
great.
got
Let's see how I handle things under pressure. So
r
I pulled to a parking lot so I could do this podcast,
uh-huh.
and somebody kicks me out because this is reserved parking that somebody will never use. But the recovered me is very cool, calm, and collected under pressure,
Right.
and it's just another day in the park.
And we correct our mistakes no
And we
matter what
correct our
they are.
mistakes. So now I'm parking in my friend's parking lot so that we don't have a problem. Sorry, folks, for this little
Bro,
intrusion.
it's all
Okay.
good, man. This is the reality of real life, right? You muted. You're muted.
Hello?
There we are. Gotcha.
Oh, can you hear me? Is
No,
there
I hear you.
echo or
You're
no?
fine now. You're fine
All
now.
right. That's
Good to go.
that's perfect. Okay. So, we're back. We're back. Sorry
We're
about the
back.
intrusion, but this is live. This is what
It's
happens
all
when you're
good.
live.
No doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. So right before the young lady asked you to move parking spots, you started to
I love it.
you started to break down the U-turn
These are
moment,
the
but
bloopers. These are
yeah,
the
no.
bloopers that you need to have,
Oh,
right?
bro, I'm
The
definitely
back.
clipping this up for you, man.
This is great. This is great.
Nah.
So, I go into rehab, right? And, leave my ego at the door and I get clean and sober and finally get out. I get out in the middle of a COVID lockdown, of course,
Mm,
because it was July 2020, and everybody's in isolation. And of course, you're given counselors to follow up with, psychiatrists to follow up with. The big buzzword is MAT, if you've heard of it. It's medically assisted treatment.
right.
It's been the gold standard for care for people in substance use, for a long time. So I did MAT. And for me, MAT was kind of frustrating because, here you are doing a virtual thing with somebody that you don't know. They don't know anything about you. You
Mm,
want to vocalize how you're feeling, but it's really hard for somebody to vocalize how they're feeling. So, as an example, when somebody says, "How you doing?" I'm doing good. Maybe you're not. Maybe you are. Maybe you're doing great. But it's like really hard to kind of assess it.
mhm,
And what I was getting is I was getting prescribed medication that, bro. I mean, quite honestly, after a while, I felt like I was in a freaking coma. I mean,
mm,
seriously, I was a zombie. I was staring in front of a blank TV. I didn't want to see it, anything playing, but I was
mhm,
just there. I was just kind of going through the motions, didn't want to get up, didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to take a shower, and I'm just like, this is recovery. I mean, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm clean and sober, but
mhm.
I'd rather drink. I'd rather use, and, isolation had a lot to do with it during COVID. So, for me, I was like really haunted with my thoughts, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so bad. But I want to go out and I want to buy a bottle. I want to go out and I gotta,
Mm,
get some oxy or whatever's out there, right? Methadone, something, stuff that I used to pop all the time, like candy.
mhm,
And I threw out my medication, and I was one of the few that had that kind of like divine intervention moment where I didn't fall victim to like the thousands that you hear about that they OD, they come back, they use even harder, and they lose their lives.
right.
One person every 4 minutes, by the way, in this country dies from an opioid related overdose.
Mm,
One every 4 minutes. So that's like a gruesome statistic, but that's the truth, right?
right.
I could have been one. I could have been one of those statistics, but I decided to write a book about my life. I didn't know if anybody was going to read it. I've never written a book before, but you know what? Honestly, it kept me busy. You know, 12, 15-hour days for 8 months. All I was doing was writing. And when it was published, where I thought I'd get a reaction from the business community because I have a business background, it was actually quite the opposite. It got a lot of attention from the recovery community.
Mm.
So people are coming out of the woodworks talking about this, right? Next thing you know, I'm exposed to sober platforms that I never knew existed, by the way,
Right.
like a dinosaur. I had my head in the sand. And I'm like, wow, all these people in recovery, they're talking to each other. How cool
Mhm.
is that? So, I immersed myself in helping others 24/7, because of course our recovery and our addiction is not a 9 to 5 kind of thing. It's a 24/7 thing. So it wasn't unusual for me, 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting there talking somebody off a ledge, so to speak,
Mhm.
made me feel good, and I'm helping others, which is
Right.
great. And then, a few years progressed, and just through a chance meeting, I meet this founder of Opiate, which is a data science company,
Okay.
and they're a data science company that actually is dedicated to making recovery safer and more effective, using machine learning capabilities and AI. And as complicated as that sounds, I'll explain it all in a minute.
Okay.
I understood it clearly because for me, coming out and going through medically assisted treatment the way it was. Well, how do you feel, Dino? I don't know. Well, have you used today? I don't know. Did you drink yesterday? No. Are you on any other medication? No. Well, tell me from 1 to 10 what kind of anxiety you're experiencing. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, just fix me because I'm either going to use or fix. Do you understand how frustrating this is? And I can't be
Yeah.
alone in this. There's a
Nah,
lot of
nah,
people
bro.
that
I
go
get
through.
it.
All right, and I'm not knocking the health professionals. They got a lot of stuff on their plate, but the average health professional has been trained in substance use 8
Mhm.
hours. Okay?
Right.
So I'm in the emergency room, and I'm being cared for by somebody who's telling me, "Well, you shouldn't be feeling this way."
Mm.
Well, yeah, but I am. You know what I mean?
Right.
I am feeling this way. Never
Right.
mind what I should be, right? So what Opiate does is Opiate uses the existing files in the doctor's office, charts, okay, on a patient, let's say like me. And what it uses is biometrics. So here's a Samsung Galaxy,
Mhm.
okay, which is, there you go,
I
which is
got you.
powered by Opiate technology. And the Samsung Galaxy takes all my biometric readings. Like every 5 minutes, it takes my biometric readings and it sends it to the Opiate headquarters. Okay.
Okay.
Translated with my file and my biometrics, it applies machine learning. And it will, you ready for this?
I'm
It
ready.
will
I'm ready.
distinguish the difference between withdrawal and anxiety.
What?
Pow!
Really?
It will, yes. So, for the first time ever, we have real time decision making technology that can assist a health professional in giving me personalized care. So, I'm
Mm.
no longer just an average. I don't have to hear, well, you shouldn't be feeling like this. Now they're concentrating on Dino, the patient, and not people like Dino and the averages that they go by. Do you see the difference?
Most
Because
definitely.
when I went into rehab, I went in and I became, friends with a lot of people. But this one guy, John, sticks in my head for a lot of reasons. But, he was totally, totally heavily addicted to fentanyl. And
Mm.
I've done a lot of drugs to choke a horse, basically. But fentanyl was not one of them, thank God.
Nah, thank God.
Um,
Me too. Me too.
but but I learned about it really quickly. I mean, John was the kind of person, he said that they brought him back to life 4 separate times.
Mm.
Okay. And as soon as he'd come back to life, instead of like being like normal people where they're like, oh my God, they got him alive, I'll never do this again. He's feeling his sock to
Mhm.
see if the paramedics took his stash.
Mm.
Okay. This is what fentanyl does at the
Right.
very least. All right. So, so we go into rehab. We came in, we checked in about the same day. Right. And then after your detox period in rehab, you join the group and you share like 6 group meetings a day. You have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with these people. You sleep in the same building. I mean, my God, I mean, you're just like, you're tight, right? And I was slowly getting John out of his shell. He was participating, he was smiling. We were actually talking about doing something afterwards, like, hey, man,
Mhm.
I'm into music. And, if you know any producers or stuff, we can make our own label. And I mean, like people dream, people talk and stuff. So we're making plans. About 10 days after that, I didn't see him anymore. And I'm like, what happened to John? And they're like, well, he didn't make it.
Mm.
And that's when it first occurred to me. We walk into recovery for the same reason, to get better, right?
Right.
However, we were both treated the same. So now you take this MAT with Opiate, okay? And maybe we wouldn't be treated the same. You see,
Right.
maybe John's withdrawal level is this, and maybe my withdrawal level was this. So you're going to treat the program, you're going to treat the person with a specific program that's right for them, right? You're not going to over medicate them. You're not going to under medicate them. You're not going to, prescribe a counselor when maybe they need a specialized counselor. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so what happens is that for me, the first day you quit, in the 3 months, that's like really, really critical time because, as you know, all it takes is just a couple bad moves and you just go right back hard lining.
Most
And
definitely.
with the synthetic drugs and the designer drugs that are out there today, I mean, it's no joke. It's like Russian roulette. One
Right.
bad dose can kill you. And especially
Yeah.
if you quit and you come back, you'll tend to overdose yourself
Mhm.
because you miss it and you're chasing that first high in your mind. And that's why you see so many people drop off.
Right.
Like in rehab, when we all coined out, it's all a group and we're all high-fiving each other, clapping, laughing, whatever. And then the counselor, while we're smiling and everything, says, turn to your left and turn to your right. The people that are to your left and the right of you, chances are they won't be around in a year. I'm
Mm.
like, huh? That's the uh-oh moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so with this technology, with Opiate, that's why I got it so quickly. That's why I wanted to get involved, right? I mean, service and helping people is really the name of the game. So is this company's. I mean, their true north is just to help their neighbors in recovery. They don't even call them addicts, they call them neighbors, right?
Right.
I'm like, dude, I got to get involved because seriously, I got a story to tell. Plus, I'm a business guy. Make me a spokesperson. I mean, seriously, I want to get involved. I want to explain this to my people,
Mhm.
right? So that they seek professional help and hopefully seek it with opiate powered facilities, because it's just a remarkable thing that could save lives.
No doubt, no doubt. It definitely sounds like it, man. And when you were breaking it down, Dino, what I heard was it allows professionals to give that the specialized and different level of care. So if
Right.
I'm going in there for say alcoholism and cocaine, you're not giving the fentanyl user the same level of treatment as I am because I can now specialize the treatment that I can give and more than likely save more lives.
Correct. And, like everything else, when you're feeling withdrawals, is it really withdrawal or anxiety? I mean, some people are over dramatic. Some people like are very cautious. Obviously, when you
Mhm.
recover, it's scary. So there is a level of anxiety there. But,
Right.
it's almost like when you measure your blood sugar, right? You take your reading, it'll give you a number. Okay. It won't just say high or low. When you blow and you're intoxicated,
Mhm.
it'll give you a number. It just won't say you're drunk or you're not, right?
Right.
Why don't we have anything for withdrawal that says you're really withdrawing, or not so much, you'll get through it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's a big difference, because if we treat everybody the same, hey, just white knuckle it and ride it out,
Right.
and then we wonder the next day, oh, gee, I didn't realize Johnny was so bad. Well,
Now you
maybe
know.
you should have.
Right.
Yeah, now you know, right? But that's where we're losing a lot of people, is in the relapse process, okay?
Mhm.
Because we aren't paying attention to the specific readings. I mean, we have so much technology in our face nowadays. It's everywhere. You hear about it all the time, machine learning, AI. This is really specific to our space.
Mhm.
And it speaks volumes to me because I'm telling you, dude, I wish that this technology existed when I was going through it. It would have been such a time saver for me.
Mhm.
And I would have been a much, um, let's say, agreeable patient
No doubt.
because I wasn't very, look, when you're jonesing, you're not a really happy dude,
Nah,
right?
not at all.
And yeah, so you're just like, you wake up angry. I mean, seriously, it's a horrible thing. But how are doctors supposed to help you if you can't articulate how you're feeling, first of all,
Mhm.
right? And then they tell you about the smiley face and frowny faces. Pick
Right,
a
on the little
face.
chart,
I don't
yeah.
know. You pick one, man. I'm hurting over here. I don't know. And then other people, they'll get trained to know that, hey, if I say middle of the road, they won't give me that withdrawal medication, right? So
Mhm.
let me just overdo it and say I got the worst frowny face. I got an angry face. I mean, so it's not giving you an accurate, you're not doing justice to yourself either in
Right.
recovery, right? This thing talks to you. It's personalized care, never been done before. And I am just so proud to be part of this company. You have no idea.
Nah, this is absolutely fascinating, man, because you're saying stuff that bring me back to my days of active addiction and in my U-turn moment. Um, a little bit about me without going too much into the story because I've told it several times. I'll probably tell it a million more.
I
Uh,
didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
well, just a tidbit and just how this opiate device could have been helpful, in my own life, especially to my parents. My father, God rest his soul. Um, him and I didn't have a good relationship, but when I needed him most, he was there, and when he, needed his son most, he was there to help pick me up. But what he said after I tried to commit suicide, thank my higher power, I made it through to the next day. But I woke up pissed off, upset, angry, like, man, why the heck am I still here? This life sucks. I'm dead broke. I got kids. I don't want to live this way. Like, life sucks. But my dad that morning looked at me and he was like, man, I didn't know it was that bad. Please allow me to get you some help, you know? And
Yep,
I'm thinking, like, man, dang, with all this technology, if we would have had something like that, he would have known.
absolutely. Now, get this. It gets even better. So let me do like the commercial. But wait, there's more. Okay.
Let's
So,
go.
so as a patient, right, with
Mhm.
an opiate powered facility, I go in, right? Doctor gives me a watch like the one I just showed you. It's taking my readings every 5 minutes. They're able to get real time decision outcomes, right, that they can take. I mean, the doctor makes the final decision, but obviously this is unprecedented accuracy, okay, because it becomes uniquely me. Okay, so
Right.
it's telling him exactly what I'm suffering from, what I'm feeling, what my levels are, and so forth. Right. Usually, when you get discharged, whatever the protocol they put you on, whatever the treatment is, when you get discharged, there's usually a follow up visit, either with that facility or your general practitioner. You get the thing. Come back in 2 weeks. Let's see how you're doing. Come back in 30 days. Let's see how you're doing. Right. Well, in an opiate powered facility, I take the watch home,
Mhm.
okay? And I wear it. So now imagine that visit 30 days later without opiate. So how you been doing? Well, I've had some good days and bad days. I've had some ups and downs. Again, very vague terms. I'm not able to express and articulate how I'm feeling, right? And so, that has a tendency to let people believe, hey, let's just keep doing what we're doing and let's see what happens, kind of a
Mm.
thing, which may be a good call, maybe not. But wearing the opiate, smartwatch, I'm able to transmit still every 5 minutes for those 30 days to the facility how I'm doing. So they'll know exactly. Am I sleeping right? And when is my withdrawal the highest? When am
Mhm.
I feeling levels of anxiety? When am I depressed? Am I drinking enough water? I mean, just all kinds of stuff. This
Right.
is valuable data that,
Yeah.
when it's applied with machine learning, can spit out and forecast predictions that are just like uncanny accuracy. It's crazy. But
Nah.
the future is now, man. The future is here. Okay. And, we have several people in the medical community running and embracing this. Obviously, we're going to all clinicians and health professionals all over the world, and also recovery centers, And so that's the important thing is and thank you again for having me on. But, I want to express to your viewers that, hey, there is hope, not that you can't do it without this, but
Mhm.
isn't it nice to have a huge new tool, shiny tool in the toolbox of recovery that could save lives,
Most
right?
certainly. Yeah, most certainly. There is a way to do it, but if you had something that, excuse me, offer you some assistance, and
Yeah.
it's a tool, a necessary tool that gives live data for us to track, right, and cater your recovery program to assist you on your journey. I find that absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I do too. Now you know why I wanted to jump on board. I'm like, I was helping people morning, noon, and night on social
Hmm.
platforms. I still do, right? But this is something that is in such a huge, grand scale, right? It just makes me feel good because you don't. I don't know about anybody else, but when you get out and you get clean and sober, you want to change your life. You want to
Right.
get rid of the toxic friends. You want to get rid of the toxic surroundings if you can. Thank God I was able to. And the last thing I want to do is go back to my old sticks and doing my old career.
Right.
I wanted something new, just like my recovery. I hit the reset button on my life, and I'm just like, dude, if I'm here and I'm supposedly charismatic and inspiring, then let me use this to bring others back to life, so to speak, because there's too many zombies, the walking dead out there, and you guys know what I'm talking about, where life
Hmm.
and death is the same, literally. Doesn't matter if you're alive or dead. To me, it didn't matter. And I was just like, every day was the same. And now every day is exciting. And the most rewarding thing is to see somebody come up and start getting better and better. And, I don't expect people to thank me, but that occasional call of somebody that says, you really helped me, you changed my life. Wow. I mean, you want to be on cloud nine, man. That is the biggest high you'll ever have.
Nah, amazing, truly amazing. So how did you get involved with Opiate?
Like I said, that chance meeting with the
Mhm.
CEO,
Okay.
it was through a friend. He's like, I have a friend and I think you two should meet. I'm like, why? Well, I think you guys have a lot in common. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we meet. I'm
Mhm.
like, I have no idea what he does or the company or anything. And then he starts talking, and I immediately, in my mind, went back to my own recovery, and that's why I understood it. Right now,
Mhm.
my business background didn't hurt because obviously, I've done a thing or two, and
Right.
I'm able to present. But where where people are talking about, well, let's present this to the medical community and the medical field and this and that, I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to spend my days explaining this to my people, because if my people know that this technology exists and how it works for them, they're going to go to their health professional and say, hey man, if you're not powered by opiate, give them a call. You see what I'm saying?
No doubt.
There's more of us out there. There's millions and millions and millions
Mhm.
of us, and we speak the same language. We're somebody who's not gone through our trials and tribulations, somebody that hasn't gone through the recovery, can't possibly understand what I'm talking about right now.
Not at all.
You know
Not
what I'm
at all.
saying?
Yeah, I definitely
It's
know what you're saying.
it's the most beautiful group, the most loyal group of soldiers I've ever seen, where one person, it's almost like the Marines, they leave no man behind. They want others to succeed, they want others to recover. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
no rank, everybody's the same. And there's no background, there's no race, there's no,
Mhm.
formal training or anything like that. Addiction is an equal opportunity destroyer. Remember that.
Mm. Yes, most definitely. And then when we get into recovery, it's really like the biggest mastermind group you could have because we all have different backgrounds,
Yep.
possibly different substance use disorders, mental health disorders, but we all have one common goal,
We
one
want to
day at a time.
one day at a time. We want to get better. And everybody out there, as soon as you get out and you're like done with it. I mean, tell me somebody who didn't say, I gotta be good. You know, And what does that mean for us? Because we're so used to just going off the rails so many years, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? What is good? So good for us means boring. Oh, I'm going to have a boring life. I better stay away from bars. I better stay away from parties. I better not watch this commercial. Oh my God, they got another beer commercial. This commercial is for vodka. I better stay away. And so what you find is you just find yourself almost like a Howard Hughes kind of thing. You're like a recluse in your own home. And you're just like, what am I doing?
Right.
Life happens. And the more tools you have and the more support you have and the more strength you have, you're able to overcome any obstacle in your way. And I
Mm.
promise you guys, those fresh out of recovery, there will be a day where you'll be strong enough to go in a bar, sit at the bar, and order an iced tea and a meal and talk to some great people who may or may not be drinking, and it won't bother you.
Most
It won't
definitely.
bother you.
Most definitely. So how can we do our part with supporting Opiate, man? Like how can we get down?
Oh, I love it. I love you. So the website is OpiAId.ai.
Okay.
OpiAId.ai. It's got all the technical information. It's easy for us to, not me, but other people. To me, I
Mhm.
find it kind of confusing, but it talks to people in recovery. It talks to health professionals as well. And the best thing you could do is, if you're not powered by Opiate, there's a contact us place. Obviously, if you are in recovery and you want to DM me, you got somebody suffering, you know somebody that needs help, I can refer you to Opiate powered recovery centers that are going on right now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And any little edge that I could provide that'll make the difference between somebody overdosing or losing their lives, and not, I mean, I'm all for it.
Most certainly. Most certainly. I am all for it as well, man. This is an awesome thing that you have gotten involved with, Dino. I'm
Thank you.
100% bought in. So if there's anything that I could ever do to be of service to you all and the mission that you have going on, don't hesitate to ask me. So as we get ready to wrap up, what I do ask all of my co-hosts as they come on, what word of advice, and you could plug opiate into this however you see fit, but what word of advice or guidance could you offer to the person that is currently struggling and looking for assistance?
Um, there's so many of them, but here's one that always stuck with me. Just like the story of my life is a Rocky movie. Remember, you're stronger than you think. You really are. You know, and it's instead of just like being isolated and stuff and not wanting to talk to somebody, take that walk, call a
Mm,
friend. Lose that ego and the shame, because honestly, people don't know how to help us because we don't let them in most of
mm,
the time, right? So they don't know whether to take us seriously or this is just another one of those things. They're not sure. And so it's not that they don't care, it's just that they don't go through what we're going through. So how can you possibly expect them to understand? But even if they don't understand, getting a hug from somebody, getting a phone call, holding somebody's hand is worth $1 million. Okay. Even if they don't know anything about what you're going through, it means a lot more. Okay. But you are stronger than you think.
most certainly. I like it. Is there anything else you want to add, sir?
That's it, man. I just love having, being on. Thanks for having me. And I'm actually happy that I got kicked out of the parking space and I did it in real time while I was driving from one spot to another. It didn't flinch, man. Did
Not
not
at all.
flinch. I love it. That was
Yeah,
perfect.
bro.
Bloopers for a future show.
Operated smooth under pressure, man. I could tell you've been through
uh,
some things in life, man.
yeah, yeah, to say the least. But it's all fun, man. It's all fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Dino, thank you so much, man, for coming on to the podcast today. Most certainly a fan of what you got going on, and I will most definitely do my part in order to, assist you all however I can.
Thank you very much, my friend. You have a great day. Enjoy your kids. Enjoy the eclipse, okay?
All right, yes, sir. Dino, thank you.
See you,
Saying how
buddy.
you feeling right now. Saying how you say it. Show me how I look in your heart. Better look amazing.